What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Team Chat Podcast, a special live episode where, you know what we're going to do? We're going to talk about games, the ones we love, the ones we hate, and everything in between. I am one of your hosts, Jerrett Wilson, joined no longer across the power of the internet because we are finally able to record for the first time in person in 8 months
or
something
months.
like that. So This is a great celebration on yet another reason that we actually get to be in person recording once again.
Incredible.
No longer over the power of the internet, but physically to my right, Rachel Mogan.
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno to you.
Oh, it feels good.
Well, how
Feels
are
good
you
to be
this
back.
fine extra life day?
Feels good. Yeah, Torque did help. I helped $10. It was a big
Booyah.
help. I'm doing amazing, obviously, because we have far exceeded my expectations for today.
Oh, yeah.
After last year, I guess I just didn't really know how it would go. So the fact that we've already exceeded our goal and are doing fantastic is wonderful.
Yeah.
This is our favorite time of the year. It's like our Christmas. And it's our birthday.
Yes.
It's our heckin' birthday. We deserve to be happy.
It is our 5th anniversary.
It is.
Which is insane to me, too,
Team
that
Chat
we're
Podcast
now
is
at.
a 5-year-old kid.
Yes.
We're in kindergarten now, I think.
And to celebrate that, we have. Oh, no, the fan's going to blow it out.
It might not. Oh, look at it
Oh,
go.
there it
Look at
goes.
it go.
We got some
Shield
brownies.
it.
You can bring it in. Sam made us some brownies. for our
Thank you,
5th
Sam.
birthday.
And so these two on the bottom are homemade from.
No, they all of them are.
Oh my God,
She made
even
them into the little ones too.
They look like they're from HEB.
Right? I thought
That's
they were too.
incredible.
But no, some homemade brownies for
Wow.
us to celebrate. You guys get to watch us eat them. Don't worry, we won't eat them during the stream, and just because then we just be filling our
That's
faces.
for our OnlyFans.
Exactly, mukbang
There we go.
edition.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
All right, so
okay,
here we
hurry.
go. We're just gonna blow these things out real quick. Okay, we got to make a wish. Okay, you ready? Let's blow this out.
Yay!
Yeah.
Happy birthday to us.
So, thank you.
I wished for $10 million
That's so many.
through our OnlyFans.
Oh man, well we are here at Team Chat Podcast. Granted, today is not a Tuesday morning. It is in fact a Saturday night. Almost said Friday. It's not. It's Saturday. And so we will though be releasing a recording of this version that will be going out on Tuesday across podcast services around the World Wide Web and also viewable on our YouTube channel where you can watch every other episode that we've produced over these 5 years. Well, except
for the first
the
25.
first 30, yeah. We didn't start doing video until episode 30. So this is episode 226, 5 or 6.
God.
I think it's 225. It is 225. So you can watch 199 episodes.
First of all,
no,
what a-
96.
What a nice
There it
mark.
is.
225 for this one. Like,
I
that's
know,
just
right?
a good number.
It's a good
That's
number. It hits right. And so you can watch all those on a page on all YouTube, podcast services, all that good stuff. You can find us on social media such as Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Join our Discord server where we have a lot of fun conversation throughout the week when we're not here on the show recording and talking about games. But, we also talk about a whole lot of games there too. And then finally, also, if you would like to help, you've been helping us already so much with Extra Life, and we are appreciative so much of everybody's donations. But if you would also like to help make Team Chat bigger and better, you can head over to patreon.com/Team Chat Podcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you can support the show. And in return, we'll give you cool perks like getting the episodes early before their general Tuesday release, access to a private server on our private channel on our Discord server, the Rogues Gallery, and a couple new things coming down the pike. I forgot to rehash these with you.
I was about to say, what's new?
But we
What's
did go
coming
over
down
this.
the road?
We did talk about this before. One of the things that we did have to put to the side during quarantine and everything when we were trying to figure out
right.
all this new stuff coming back, like how this is all going to work, and then just quarantine in general being, and everyone not being in the best mindset.
we were just scrambling to make sure that we could still do the show and have it make sense online.
And all this. So we will be bringing back our $5 part of our, because we have 3 tiers. We have the $1, $2, $3, and then $5. The differences between those in our Patreon tiers. The differences there is that the $1 you get audio early and access to the Rogues Gallery channel. $3 you get video and audio early and access to the Rogues Gallery channel. $5 is you get the video, audio early, access to the Discord channel, and a special Patreon exclusive show for its first 2 weeks, Team Chit Chat, where Mogan and I talk about things various
we
different
talk
things.
about anything that isn't related to video games. Like,
Yes.
that's our time to talk about all the stuff that we do in the rest of our lives.
Exactly.
Because believe it or not, we do stuff when we leave here.
It's true.
So in the past, we've done things like talking about Sushi Go, which is a really fun tabletop card game. We've talked about Castlevania, not the game, the show specifically
on Netflix.
the show. We've talked about Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken, one of my favorite anime, and we're going to try to bring that back so that we can continue to talk about just the other things in our daily lives that we do that we think are great, or even that we think are stupid, and that we just want to talk about. Wait, didn't we just talk about like how much sometimes the Star Wars fandom can suck on occasion?
We actually only did before we had to before we canceled everything because of it. We did only 4 episodes, so we're ready to bring this back, and we're going to keep it like how we were, where we shoot for 2 of those a month. The first 2 weeks that they're released are Patreon exclusive at that $5 tier. Then after that 2 weeks goes by, we release them across our YouTube channel for everyone else to be able to enjoy. So we're going to be bringing that back. Another thing we're bringing into the new year.
I've watched a lot of anime this year.
Yeah, I know. I've got a list now. I'm like really upset on all the things to talk about in Team Chit Chat. But then the thing also that we're going to be doing different. I don't know if anyone has really knows because this is kind of a quiet change that we did. But we started removing. No longer have the soundtrack spotlight thing at the end of our episodes. The reason for that being is because we didn't really want to. We were trying to avoid running into any copyright issues, different things like that.
It's
that
just
becoming around.
annoying
Every once in a while, we get tagged for those.
Like, even if something does technically fall under the terms of fair use, which it always does, if somebody still like copyright strikes your channel for a claim, it's just annoying to have to deal with.
Right. Sometimes it mutes it. And then too, as the show grows, like we're looking into more options as far as like monetizing and different things like that. And sometimes having copyrighted work like that can impact that. So we've come up with a new solution for this because we obviously still love talking about soundtracks and being able to do that. We're now going to be, I think we're shooting for once a week on these. We're going to be publishing a blog article where Mogan or I will author a quick like soundtrack spotlight post talking about a game's music, why we like it, and with some select samplings from those scores. Yeah. So that's going to be
our way to get around it. We both get to flex a little bit of our other creative skills like writing, which
need flexing.
Yeah, we need to not even those. Flexing. We need to like mold them. We're going to be molding those skills.
We're going to be molding
so we're going to start
together.
Practicing up on our writing. It'll give us an opportunity to still explore one of our favorite facets of video games, the soundtracks, and that just gives us more ways to be able to share with everybody, the kinds of things that we love and that we want other people to love, whether they like it or not.
That's right. Yeah. So we're going to be releasing those on our website, and those won't be behind any kind of like they're just out there
our regular
for people to have. So those are kind of the things that we're going to be doing in this next year to really try to again grow and expand what Team Chat can do, and all of course that is kind of what Patreon helps us do, is make it a little bit easier for us to be able to do those things. And just make the show, like I said, it makes the show bigger and better.
And the kinds of things that we use that money for is stuff like hosting services. It costs money to host shows on the web like this. So hosting services, equipment fees, that's really all of where the money goes. It's not like Jerrett and I are rolling in dough on the side. Have you seen how big Birdie is? The food for Birdie is where expensive. Most of the budget goes.
Got to keep those producers happy.
Gotta keep the producers happy. They're really eating into our profits, literally.
Just a little bit. Yeah. So, but yeah, so those are some of the new things that will be coming. Of course, we're going to continually keep trying to improve and grow how we deliver the episodes and what we and all those different things. Like obviously trying to get more guests on. We've had a great success in this last year with having some of our best performing episodes have been with our guests. Like one that shot up recently, The Last of Us Part 2 review that we did with Roro and Kurok is one of our most watched episodes that we've ever had.
It's incredible. Those names just keep coming up lately.
I know. It's like they're really good.
It's almost like they're awesome people that you should go check out.
So we're going to be always working to have more guests on, constantly working to develop our formats and everything to deliver the best stuff. And if you guys obviously have any notes or like feedback for us on things that you would like to either see, topic ideas, all those things, either let us know by commenting on either our social media, sending us an email at teamchatpodcast@gmail.com, writing into us on our Discord channel, all that great stuff. So we are just excited to be able to bring another year of Team Chat to everyone, and that we're still going to keep doing this and everything like that. So it's crazy, and we got some drinks here because we're not only celebrating the results of the election, but we are also, of course, celebrating Team Chat's 5 years.
Happy birthday to us.
Happy birthday to us.
It's a koozie.
It's a koozie. Not much of a clink there. Delicious.
Delicious. And Andy, if you could give me some of that pizza, that'd be great.
That would be great. Oh, it looks like
Also,
we're getting a
hi,
few donations rolling in. As we
Oh my
speak.
God, really? We're so good at raising money for
Oh
the
my
children.
God. We're at $9.85.
Oh my God, wait, what just happened?
People,
What the hell?
we're having to come up with too many stretch goals here.
Oh no, we're gonna have to think of something else. Everyone stop donating.
Yeah, we got two more $100.
Oh my God, from whomst?
I don't know.
We don't know that many people. I mean, you might, but I don't have any friends.
All right, let's take a peek at these real fast.
All right, thank you so much to Grillian again.
Is it really?
Is it really? No.
Yes, it is.
That can't. He's insane.
Krillian, thank you so much. Wow.
Wow.
He says, raised from Miss Jedi shaving my head on stream.
That's incredible.
I didn't know that was going to happen.
I
would have
didn't know
wanted
that
to see
either.
that.
Dude,
That's amazing.
That's amazing. Thank you. Wow.
That's crazy.
Holy cow. Dang.
That's crazy. Awesome. Okay, well, we better start thinking of what we want to do now if we hit 1,000.
I guess so. I don't
Somebody
know what
really
we're
wants
gonna
that
do.
OnlyFans to
I
happen.
guess so. I told you it was a joke. I didn't mean it.
Oh, man, that is awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. That's incredible. But yeah, so where was I? We were talking about birthday stuff, but obviously, every year that we do this, it's a big thing because this is insane to me that this has even lasted for, I remember when we started and we were just kind of like, how are we going to, oh, there we go.
I'm a genius.
There you go.
I just put the internet into large print because I was
Nice.
struggling to
That
read
is
the
kind of fun.
chat.
I was having a hard time with that too. So no, that
Woo,
works.
I'm incredible. Donate for me being incredible.
Oh, man.
Oh boy. But yeah, Andy says we do have all the friends and it's what we deserve. And you know what? We do have an incredible
We do.
community around us.
Because I think honestly though, like we're celebrating here, but that we obviously could not be here celebrating if it wasn't for
Absolutely.
all of you.
We have had so much support along the way, and it has just been more than we could have asked for.
Yeah.
So we are so happy to continue to be doing this. We're not going anywhere.
No.
Quarantine can't stop us.
That's right.
No matter what.
That's right.
We're gonna be here.
So yes, a big thank you to our community. A big thank you to everyone who listens. And to wrap up the pitch Patreon part of this, if you can't donate to us monetarily, that's totally fine, because just being out there in the world, sharing the good news of Team Chat, either by writing us reviews, subscribing, telling your friends, all of that helps get the great word of Team Chat podcast out. And for that, we are eternally grateful and love you all. Heart
There we go.
emojis. I saw you
Heart
building up to
emoji.
that
Yeah,
big
I
time.
was like, oh, how long is it gonna take?
And
yeah,
of course,
big
too,
heart.
And of course, too, as we do this, also, I have to give a big special thank you to Samantha as well for all of her support that she gives behind the scenes, not only and her appearances on the show, and not only making us amazing baked goods, but she also is the one who made the stickers that we have that we're giving out for
Yeah.
all the people who donate. We're sending you a sticker. So
You do have to send us your address.
you gotta
though.
send us your
So
address.
you want the sticker, send us your address.
Exactly.
We don't
But we
care
got-
how you do it. Just let us know.
We got these bomb Team Chat podcast stickers, and they're in focus, but I just
They
wanted
look
to
great
post-
on your car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if they would stick on your car.
They
We
do.
put them on our Nalgees. They actually work really well on like Nalgene water bottles and
You
stuff
just
like
have
that.
to wipe all the dirt off first and then you slap it on there.
Oh yeah, come show it off.
Yeah, put it right
Come
in
show
front
it
of
off.
the camera so that everybody can see it.
It's a little blurry, but yeah.
Oh, put it down a little bit.
Hers has been on there for like a long
Yeah,
time.
that's why
too.
you actually can't see it. It's so blurred out. It's been through a lot.
But along making those everything, those stickers and everything, Sam also is obviously a big moral support to me, to Mogan, and to just also fun to have. She helps run with our social media and stuff. She helps in so many different ways, and this obviously would not be possible without her. So love you.
Love you.
And then I also have to give a big thank you to you.
Oh, I was going to say to you because I
Well,
was
no,
like,
I'm
all
still
of
talking.
this.
So this is gonna
All of this. I'm gesturing at the rough, amalgamation of various technologies just kind of floating around in the background that when I look at, it stresses me out. So,
I mean, I must admit, it stresses me out.
thank God somebody
all
else
set
does
together.
this part because I don't want to have nothing to do with that. Except for I can make the mouse click on things.
What did we hit?
That's the most I can do. Did we really?
I think
We have to refresh it again.
I think we might have.
Please stop donating.
No, don't stop because it's for the children. We did it.
Oh my God.
1,000.
Did
Oh my
somebody
God.
donate the exact right amount to
I
make
think
it
we
an
got-
even 1K?
Yeah, I think that somebody donated a 15.
That is that alone makes me happy that it's the proper It's the proper
it's just
amount.
that even wonderful 1,000.
Oh my goodness!
We've doubled our original goal.
Oh my God, you're right. We did. Crap.
And we still have so many hours to go.
And we still have Camp the Boy, who's going to be streaming for the rest of this month towards the Extra Life page.
Oh, you're
and we still have Row after us. Oh my God.
We're just barely getting started, I feel like.
We're doing too good.
But so, as I was saying, big thank you to you as well, because obviously this is something that we both do for free. Like we donate our time.
We just show up.
And I know, especially like trying to remain committed to the schedule, helping, doing all that you do to help with the show. I may have set up the technology part. Mogan handled all the back end of scheduling and getting this Extra Life stream up and ready, coordinating our guests, making the schedule, all that different stuff. But then also outside of that, this has just been a literal joy getting to do this show. And I am so excited that we were able to meet and that we have since in these 5 years become like such good friends and just been able to just both gush over a passion that we share. And that has been an incredibly fun time. And I look forward to doing one of these episodes every single week.
Absolutely. Me too. And for anybody that hasn't heard our origin story before, I'll recap it for you real quick. So 5 years ago, I was still really new to Austin. It actually was more like 6 years ago that we actually first met. And then the podcast kind of happened a little bit after that. So I had just moved to Austin pretty recently. One of my best friends from high school and college, she moved to Las Vegas. Her twin sister, who is also my friend, moved to Oregon. Her twin sister and hers mom's boyfriend got a job in Austin temporarily. So her mom visited here, and then she came to visit as well. And then through that sister's mom's boyfriend, I went to go hang out with them. They knew Zach. No, they didn't even know Zach. They knew this other guy, Mike. We went to go pick up Mike. Mike was like, hey, we should go hang out with my buddy Zach. We went to go pick up Zach. That's how I met Zach. I knew somebody who 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 knew somebody to get to you.
I feel like that's crazy.
It's
because I feel like every single time I hear this story, there's like new iterations to it that I didn't realize.
Well, it's because I keep forgetting that like it wasn't just Glenda, it was her sister Amy.
Oh, Glenda.
But it wasn't just Amy, it was the fact that her mom was in town.
Yeah.
But the only reason her mom was in town was because Elliot was in town. So I technically only got to see any of them on that given day because Elliot had a temporary job here. And then their mom came, and then Amy came, and then Amy knew Mike, and then Mike knew Zach, and it's just like, wow.
That's insane.
We're like Kevin Bacon levels of almost missing
Pretty
each
much.
other.
Because I remember for those
Inception, it
for
really is.
It really is. For those who are wondering who's Zach, Zach was when we began the show, like he was our third co-host, and then after a while he went off to start making his own films and all this other stuff. So he's we've checked in with him recently. He's doing really great too.
He
so
is.
but
His hair is still as fantastic as ever.
I'm always
that
been so
hair,
envious of his hair.
right? Me too. It's
There's
like,
always
can
just
I
like the
have
perfect
that?
amount, nice
it
thickness. I just always
looks
wanted
like-
to run my hair,
Yeah, it always
my
has
hands
the
through it.
exact right swoop.
It was
and it's
perfect.
just
It was
like,
beautiful.
man, I wish that could be me.
Same.
Why not?
Same. As I sit here with a shaved head.
Oh, Zach.
But so no, when we first met, Zach was like, because I met Zach first through like a film contact. And then we were talking and I brought up the idea of doing the show to him. And he was like, hey, I've got a friend who I think would be perfect. I, in my head, always assumed that you guys had been friends for a while. Then I find out a couple years later, you guys barely knew each other.
We had barely known each other for about a month.
That's insane.
Had hung out a few times. And then he was like, hey, you want to be on this thing? And I was like, sure. Because I had no concept of what he was actually asking for.
Yeah.
And then I realized,
oh, look what you got roped into now.
and then I realized too late that it was way more than I was expecting. And I was like, oh, I already said I'd do it. So it was
well,
just
thanks for
like,
not backing out.
So just the pure fact that I just happened to know the exact right chain of people. And I was just too nice to be like, nah, I don't want to do that. Plus, it did sound fascinating. It sounded fun. And I was like, yeah, I'll do something that's out of my comfort zone. And look where we are now.
Look where we are. Raising over the course of this show, we've probably now throughout these 3 Extra Lives later, we've raised almost $3,000.
Yeah, we've
for
now
charity.
raised over $2,600 for Dell Children's Medical Center.
Yep, and we've done 225 episodes, a handful of like almost 20 bonus-sodes, team chit chat. We now have
that's like
a monthly
$100
community
per
stream.
episode.
Yeah.
Just
there
about.
we go. Just about. We do like the community stream nights now, or the monthly streams and all this other stuff. We're both now starting to dabble into more streaming on our own. It's really grown, and it's crazy to see where this has gone. And so,
Thousands for a charity?
Yeah,
what?
thousands.
Thousands for a charity?
that's right. So we are it's been insane where this has led, and I'm excited to see where it's going to go. And so we are glad that all of you are along for the ride with us, because as I said, this would not be possible at all without you and Birdie here
Birdie.
to be our producer.
Good
So
girl. Good girl.
good girl, Bird. Good girl, Birdie. Oh my goodness.
And of course, if you're not able to donate or if you're not able to become a patron, you can still help us out tremendously through all of the ways that are free. Word of mouth
Yeah.
is our best friend.
Oh, for
tell
sure.
your friends. Like that's how we get the word out. We don't really advertise, so tell your friends, write us reviews, comment on the YouTube videos. We don't care what you comment. You can say first for all we care.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything to help out. So thank
But
you
if-
so much, and every tiny amount helps.
Absolutely.
Make everything better.
Absolutely. It's always funny because we sometimes every once in a while we'll get like a random person comment on our YouTube and be like, wow, you guys are great. You should not, I'm not saying this to boast. I'm just saying this, like, wow, you guys are great. You should have more eyeballs. I'm like, I agree. Please help us get there.
Yeah,
and
it's
telling
like,
people is
dude,
like one of the easiest
we
ways
need
to do
you
that.
to go tell people. Like you're the one saying this. Now it's your job to go tell some
Exactly.
people.
Exactly. So, so yes, a big thank you once again to everyone, because this has been a fantastic ride.
Yeah.
So
And
it
then
has been great.
this episode's topic is coming to us from one of our favorite community members, Fuchsia Rascal.
Yes.
So if you were on the stream earlier today during Mario Kart, Fuchsia was able to join us, and she's joined us before in the past for our Extra Life team. We love her to death, and she's actually the one who sent in today's topic. So we do sometimes do topic suggestions.
Because we need suggestions for
That
topics. We actually have quite a
person-
few that we have in the
Yeah,
pipeline.
we do. That person from 2 years ago who commented on our Life is Strange video and said, "Hey, are you guys going to play Vampire?" We did.
I
And
actually
we reviewed
posted,
it.
I replied
Yeah.
to their comment.
Yeah,
and I
just be
shared the
like, just
thing.
letting you know, yeah, it's 2 years late, but we
But we
did
did
it. After it was free, but we still did it. So today's topic suggestion, which I thought was perfect for like a 5th year anniversary, is Birdie,
Birdie, go lay
can I
down.
help you?
Go lay down, Bird.
She's like, you smell like a kitty cat. I
Birdie,
know.
lay down.
Why me? Go
Go
get
see Mom.
Sam. Okay. Anyways, dog slobber. Anyways, the topic suggestion is if you had to select a few games, let's limit it to 3 to 5 total,
Okay.
to give someone who's never played games before, which ones would you choose? And she says, keeping in mind, trying to give a good introduction to a variety of different genres and beginner-friendly level, which I took a little liberally, but also interesting storylines and stuff. So we both thought this was a great suggestion. And we've decided to kind of do it debate style, like
Because
WWE
I feel like that's the best
style.
way to do this.
So what we're actually going to do is Jerrett and I have both picked 5 games that we think are the best for giving someone who's never played games before. We're each going to go through our 5. We're going to compare, and then we're going to kick off from there debating which of our 5 do we think should make the core 5.
Right.
So 5 games, 10 games will go in, only 5 can come out.
Absolutely.
Who will reign supreme?
And hopefully, like, we combine on a couple of these to make it easier.
I think at least one from my list we're going to overlap
Okay.
on.
So then we'll have 4 other
Possibly two.
slots.
Yeah.
And so this is also a really good one because obviously we're here on a live episode. We've got the chat rolling. So if you guys have any suggestions, things that we're not thinking of,
Yeah.
let us know.
And also,
Because
if you have
this
opinions,
is hard.
yeah, this stuff is hard.
Because this one especially, I was talking about it with Sam actually before we got started, that it's like, how do you know? Like, I think you have to go into this assuming that like the person is an open book, they don't have any idea.
Well, that's the topic suggestion.
what they-
someone who's never played
Exactly.
A video
They don't
game
have an
before.
idea of like what genres they're going to like, different stuff like that. So you are really just looking at like, what do you think are like the best games to get to somebody in there? And I'm still kind of slightly undecided on my 5th one.
So why don't I read out my 5?
All right.
And I'll say my 5, you say your 5, and then we'll go from there.
That sounds
All right.
good.
So the 5 that I picked are Final Fantasy VII, either the original or the new one. I
Okay.
don't care which one you pick. Hollow Knight.
Oh, okay.
Not
Yeah.
sorry that it's hard. I think
about
it's
to say-
very beginner friendly once you get into it.
That one's pretty hard.
Yeah, it depends. Firewatch, because you know I got to
yeah,
talk
yeah,
about
yeah,
one
yeah.
of my faves, Stardew Valley,
Okay.
and Tekken 7. So it's Tekken 7 just because it's the most modern iteration. I would branch that out to any Tekken game specifically. Not Street Fighter, not Blaze Blue Cross Tag or whatever it's called, not Mortal Kombat, Tekken specifically. Those are my 5.
Okay. So mine.
Incredibly, Mario didn't manage to make my list. Whoops.
Well, guess what,
Whoops.
Torque Glares? Super Mario 64.
Ooh, okay.
Because that is just a classic. Or I could even substitute, say, Super Mario Odyssey. If they're like the graphics of 64 aren't hitting home for me. I'm like, you know what? Perfect. Here's Mario Odyssey. Came out 2 years ago.
Right.
Still looks great. But I still hold that Mario 64 is like a classic game that I feel like everybody should play at some point. And then I would say next, Stardew Valley. So we did cross
So we
over.
already got one.
We already
on
got
the
one
list.
on our list.
We'll both say yes to Stardew Valley. It's locked in for one of the
And we'll
5.
go more into
Yeah,
detail
we'll talk
about why
about
we
it.
feel like it fits. Number 3, Life is Strange.
Ooh, I really thought about that.
And then 4, to give something a little bit bigger, a little bit more time you could spend in, Assassin's Creed.
Ooh, okay.
I would say of that one, obviously I enjoy the whole series.
Interesting.
I would hit either 2 or Origins
Ooh, okay.
right now. Granted, Valhalla is about to drop in like a week, so we'll see how that one
Origins
goes.
is the one with Bayek, right?
In
Okay.
Egypt, yes.
Yes,
So you either have that one or Assassin's Creed 2, which is the introduction into Ezio and all that stuff. That trilogy is really good, but 2 still is like
I think that's
subpart.
like what most critics would agree on also.
Yeah, I
that
think
Assassin's
so.
Creed 2 is like the pinnacle of the Assassin's Creed games.
But here's where I run into my difficulty now, because I feel like I've got a good coverage of the gambit, but then also trying to stay with Fuchsia's original idea of something more entry level. I was immediately like, does Last of Us fit on this? Because
Good question.
not only I think it's a good example and could fit on this list, either Last of Us 1 or 2, I would say. Both should be enjoyed. But, you know, if we're having to choose one,
They're a complete package.
they are a complete package. If you had to choose one, though, they are, I feel like, to me, they're like the pinnacle of what gaming can be in terms of like story, gaming, and all that stuff come together. But I also recognize depressing as hell. So I don't know if that's necessarily what you
point.
want to like send someone with first.
Yeah.
So then my second thought is, but then its similarity to Assassin's Creed is why I'm slightly hesitant to put it, would be Horizon Zero Dawn. Again, great story. It's an incredibly engaging world. So this is where I'm kind of tight, and I might need help figuring out my 5th one, because then I'm also like complete departure from these other 4 that I've listed, because Horizon Zero Dawn is, you know, in overall genre more similar to Assassin's Creed. I would have to say potentially Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the original one, because as like a solid first-person shooter. Oh no, Fuchsia. We got to recap for Fuchsia then, since
Yeah.
it's her topic.
Fuchsia,
Okay.
just FYI, we're doing your topic. So
Yes.
we've each picked, but we're doing it in a different way. So we've each picked 5 games that we think we would introduce to someone who has never played video games before.
Yes.
We've just gone through our lists. Mine are Final Fantasy VII, either the old or new one. I don't care which one. Stardew Valley, which we actually both share in common. So
Yep.
Stardew Valley is already locked in. Any Tekken game from me, notably Tekken 7, just because it's the most easily accessible right now. Hollow Knight. I don't care that it's not
course.
easy. We'll talk about it later. Hollow Knight and Firewatch from me. But I'm already kind of like, I probably would sub that out for Life is Strange.
See, this is why we've got to like hash these
Yeah.
out, because my
This
list
is why
was
we're gonna
Super
hash it
Mario
out.
64 or Super Mario Odyssey if you wanted something more recent. Stardew Valley, again, Life is Strange, an Assassin's Creed game, potentially 2 Origins. Actually, I'm going to add in a 3rd as another possibility.
Why are you adding more games onto the list?
I'm just saying, like, examples of the. I would say you need to play an Assassin's Creed game.
Okay.
Here are the ones I would recommend. Make your choice from these.
Gotcha.
I want to add also in Black Flag, because Black Flag, the pirate one, was a lot of fun.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
Then I'm trying to decide between the last slot. I'm trying to decide between is Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Horizon Zero Dawn, or Last of Us.
All right, so I'm going to go on ahead and come out strong with the. I don't think I would put Call of Duty on my list. Mostly just because, like, I get it from a gameplay perspective that it's, like, iconic.
Yeah.
But from a visual perspective, I just don't find anything attractive about those games. And
I
I feel
understand
like
that.
for someone that's never played a video game before, the look of it is probably going to be part of a deciding factor for why would I play this game. So I don't know. For me personally, Call of Duty just doesn't have the
Doesn't have the legs to
magic
stand
for
on.
me.
Yeah.
It just doesn't have like a fine red wine.
Mm.
The legs. It doesn't have the legs.
I only say that because the Call of Duty series is vast. There's so many entries. And I think Call of Duty Modern Warfare was like, in my opinion, the high mark for that. It's where granted the historical benefit of the older games like Call of Duty 2, where it is more focused in World War II or even World at War, where you're in Vietnam. I think things like that have some significance. But then as far as getting away from the historical accuracies, really kind of making their own stories in their own world, I feel like Modern Warfare made that jump and made that jump successfully and was one of the first to maintain that, honestly, until the reboot of it that just came out last year. Because then Call of Duty started getting like futuristic, like with some really weird stuff. And I just never felt that those games felt like Call of Duty to me. And Modern Warfare is the one that I probably played the most of, and everything. And I actually played that one on my Mac and everything. And so like having that one before, that was kind of what like one of the entry building blocks, I would say, of my gaming history. So that's why I kind of feel like I would be like, if you were looking at a first person shooter, I almost said Apex Legends on this.
Ooh,
But then I was like,
choice.
that is a hard one because yes, even though I feel like the game doesn't have as much of a learning curve as far as knowing what heroes you want to have, how they play and all that stuff, you have to go up, you have to compete against the other people.
Exactly.
And that's where it gets really sweaty.
I think any battle royale would be horrendous.
Like I would
for,
not
like,
say play Fortnite first.
Yeah. If you're a kid and kids are like so quick to pick up absolutely anything, sure, go for it, kid. You've got more brain than we could ever hope for now that we're old. But like for someone our age who had been like, yeah, I've never played a video game before. What do you think I should play? Not a single battle royale.
No, I would not say.
recommend.
I would say
under
start
any
those later
circumstances.
because those require, I don't know, they're like at a different level of shooter. And
It's not even a different level of shooter. It's a different style of thinking
and mindset. Yeah,
and
yeah,
there's
yeah.
just no room for error, and I feel like it could get so discouraging so quickly that it would make someone not want to play it.
Well, and because too, I mean, the unfortunate thing about those too is the communities around those games are often can be fairly toxic, and I feel like that, especially if you're trying to get into something new. So that's why it was one of my earlier thoughts, and I was like, ooh, because I enjoy that game a lot. But I would also be like, I would not throw a brand new player into that.
It's also, most battle royales are kind of based around things that we might not normally think about as being prerequisites for being able to play games. Stuff like game sense. Just, do you know what you're looking for?
Right.
Do you know what kinds of objects you're able to interact with? Do you know what certain things are likely to do in games because you've played them for so long that you now know that's probably something I can pick up. I bet that's a button I can push.
Right.
I bet that elevator way off in the distance actually works. A lot of that stuff is so deeply ingrained in us now that we wouldn't even think about it as being something that someone else might not think of, when in reality, those are things that you slowly build up over time.
Oh, sure.
And a game like Apex or Fortnite or, what's that other one? PUBG. That's just too much to throw at someone that doesn't have any of the background that you have after a lifetime of gaming.
Yeah.
So I think we've pretty much ruled out that one, but you still have
I still have
3 that you're competing of
Yes.
for one spot. So you technically brought a list of 9 games. So I'm
I
going to make
apologize.
you hash this
I'm
out
gonna hash.
amongst
Actually,
yourself.
you know what? Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm actually gonna go ahead and just knock the other 2 out of contention because I do believe Horizon Zero Dawn, as I've talked about before, is a fantastic game, and I would say I would almost say that's one that you could swap out for an Assassin's Creed game because it's the same thing. It's not going to have a huge learning curve. Assassin's Creed games are really good about very gradually building the difficulty, and just having more of like, they're kind of, I would almost say, and I know Origins and Odyssey especially dip more into the RPG territory, but they're almost what I would say is like they're almost like an RPG light. Like they have skills, you upgrade those skills, that you still have lots of different side quests and things that you can do in the world. The world is very much an alive place that you really get to explore. but it's not like you're having to do like number stat crunching, say in like a
Yeah.
Diablo or even a Dragon Age game like that.
Or even a Bravely Default,
Or even
where
a
you're like,
Bravely
man,
Default."
what's my dexterity? It really matters for this boss fight.
Exactly. So you're not having to do like that level.
Right.
That's even still intimidating for
Yeah,
me.
it is.
So I
mean,
wouldn't even say
there's-
something like that.
So there's even like, so somebody commented that Pokemon Sword and Shield is like the most user-friendly Pokemon game to a fault.
Yeah.
But even then, there's stuff about the Pokemon games that I still never take into account that hardcore players do. Things like, oh yeah, what the Pokemon's nature is, whether it's friendly or grumpy, or I don't actually know what all of the natures are, so don't at me, Pokemon fans. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't really know what those types are, nor do I care. I'm like, okay, is it water or grass type? But then they're like, no, you also have to take into account the temperament. And it's like, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to ignore that stat and just go with, is it a Bulbasaur? Great. That's what I'll pick.
And then we also had
Yeah, is Grumpy one of them?
Jackal.
So Jackal
says Black Flag was
the
AC.
best AC game, but he can't be trusted in that regard. He is way too into pirates. So I know what he's about. So I'm going to go on ahead and just veto. Very biased.
So okay, so Jackal Bark, are you excited or looking forward to the coming out sometime, who knows when, Ubisoft game Skull and Bones? Because I very much am.
And while Jackalbach replies to that, B. Weaver, quick recap. We are hashing out, we've each brought 5 games to the table of these are the 5 games that we would give to someone who has never played video games before.
Yes.
Of those 10, so we each have 10, we have 10 combined, we're going to whittle that down to just 5. So basically we're debating our 2 lists.
Yes.
So we're going to get those down to 5 games that we would give to someone who has never played before.
So I think okay. Crap, this is hard. I'm gonna knock out.
All of the worst parts of Black Flag were the Assassin's Creed parts.
That's why I have to say, like, the pirate parts of that, the being in the ship and exploring and all that stuff, and fighting other ships, the naval warfare.
So what I'm hearing is
Fantastic.
Assassin's Creed, bad game. Black Flag, good game.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but denied. That's not an acceptable choice then.
No, I'm saying it's okay. So I'm still holding true with Assassin's Creed. I'm gonna stick with Modern Warfare because I feel like Assassin's Creed is again, as an intro game to someone. Like, I would say play an Assassin's Creed, then move to something like Horizon. Or, man, I don't know, though. This is so hard. I'm so torn on these because Horizon's so good. I think I do eliminate Last of Us just because, even though I think it is Last of Us is my favorite game of all time. I think that it is fantastic. And I would say, hey, once you've experienced gaming a little bit, gotten maybe 1 or 2 under your belt, and you want to tackle something that is heavier, that is, because Last of Us Part 2, amazing game, but also like we said, it's heavy. It was depressing. It had parts that were like very rough to get through. Like it's you have to be like
It
in the
also,
mindset.
frankly,
to say.
might be too graphic for a lot of
Yes.
people.
Yeah,
like
agreed.
too violent, like too graphically violent, and for
visceral
a
and
lot of
stuff.
people, that might just not be their cup of tea. And if you don't want to start with that,
Right,
you want to work
right.
your way up to that and then see how they react.
Exactly.
So
I
can
think
agree with
Last of
that.
Us doesn't fit on this.
All right.
So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to knock out Horizon and I'm going to knock out Last of Us and keep it as Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
Okay.
So right now, the only thing that we have is that we share is Stardew Valley.
So let's go on
Let's
ahead
go ahead
and
and talk about
that one.
Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
Why did
so
Stardew Valley devote
Stardew Valley is an obvious choice, I think, for both of us because it is both incredibly user-friendly.
Mm-hmm.
You can come into Stardew Valley and not know anything about video games. It's graphically very friendly to a beginner. It does have those retro styles. So it's easy to pick out things that are interactable with. It's easy to see, this is a house. If I click on the door, I can go in there.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to see, these are vegetables. If I click on them, something will happen.
Yeah.
So it's very easy to pick up very quickly. There's also a pretty good balance between what should you do in a day and what you can do in a day. Because with Stardew Valley, you can kind of take it from whichever direction you want to. You can either work on your farm, really making sure that you're getting it up to snuff, or you can decide, no, I just want to do exploration and kind of have a chill time. I don't really care about money and upgrades.
Yeah.
I just want to go derp around and have fun. So in terms of what kind of game might be a good introduction to both a farming sim and a resource management game, because I still contend that Stardew Valley is farming sim, resource management, and relationship builder. You know, it's got that little bit of Story of Seasons, previously known as Cow Petter 5000. What was that game? Harvest Moon.
What? I don't know where you're going with
you
this.
You could pet cows. I don't remember. Story of Seasons, previously Harvest Moon, was kind of the king of that realm for a long, long time. And then Stardew Valley came along and it was like, oh, snap, there's a new kid on the block.
Oh, yeah.
And Stardew Valley is still going incredibly strong for a very good reason.
And
So-
we're both very excited for the upcoming update.
we're both super excited for the update. So I think it's kind of a no-brainer for us to both be like, A, it's inexpensive. You can now get it on virtually any platform, so it's very accessible. It's extremely user-friendly. It's graphically very appealing, even though it is retro-styled.
But that has its place. And
It has its
Stardew,
place.
it does well.
Absolutely. It's got a great soundtrack, and the gameplay itself is extremely fun and engaging. And once you kind of pick up the pace of it, it's the kind of game that someone could spend hundreds of hours in, like both of us have.
Yep.
So it's bang for your buck. It's really easy to pick up and learn very quickly, and it will keep you having fun for literal days on end.
And why I thought this had to go onto my list to add on to that is I at first did not think Stardew was going to be a hit for me. And boy, was I wrong. I love Stardew. And just it's kind of fallen off lately a little bit in how much I've been playing it. But still, it is one that's so fun. I do especially love that like Sam and I can play together. We have a farm that we work on together. Sam also is a huge fan of Stardew Valley. And so it's just one that I wasn't expecting it to be, but it is so much a delight to play.
And that's the exact same response that we've gotten from everyone. Everyone who has played Stardew, even people who were like you thinking, I'm not going to like this, it takes everyone by surprise.
I've yet to meet somebody who says, I tried it and it wasn't for me.
Yeah, I've never met a single person that was like, I hate Stardew Valley, or even I didn't like it. I've never met someone that said I didn't like it.
Yeah.
That clocked more than 10 hours in it. You need at least 10 hours to
Right,
be able
you
to
gotta
build
get
up your farm
started.
and kind of get the pace of it. So I think it's just an easy game, easy life.
Yeah,
That's a no-brainer.
B. Weaver says, Stardew will take over your life if you allow it. I have 300 hours logged into it.
Yeah, I have over 200. By this point, it might be over 250 because I did start a different file and I'm already on, I think, year 3 of that file.
Nice.
So, year two. So, yeah, every time you get bored with one farm, start a new farm.
No one
You
cares.
can just have a brand new farm and keep going.
Yeah.
Plus, it's now co-op. You can play it with your friends. You can play it online.
Multiplayer.
You can do couch co-op. So
Yeah.
it is such a great game to give to absolutely anyone. Easy number one.
Easy number one.
Just on the list, not
Yes.
in ranked order.
I
but
don't
on
think
the
we're
list.
necessarily even like ranking these as far as like, ooh, do this one first. It's just literally just like, here are 5 games, play these games.
I also think that we can go on ahead and go to the second one because I'm going to go on ahead and give one of mine away for
Okay.
one of yours, kind of just right off the bat, because when you compare them side by side, the reason that I would have proposed Firewatch, all of those reasons are also accomplished by Life is Strange, which is your suggestion. So Firewatch, my suggestion, versus Life is Strange, what are the core components that they have in common? They're both simple to play.
Yes.
They're not. Firewatch technically is a walking sim. Some people may or may not call. I wouldn't call Life is Strange a walking sim at all. I would just call it an adventure game. So they're similar in their design. Firewatch is a simple adventure game. Life is Strange is also more of a decision-based storytelling adventure game, but they have a lot in common. And the crux of each of those games is that they are powered by, they are really held up entirely by their very strong storytelling.
Yes.
They're incredibly strong storytelling and they're A+ acting,
Yes.
both of them. And when you look at those,
Sorry, quick pause. I just did want to adjust chat real quick. Torque says they have 5 hours or so in Stardew, but the social parts low-key stress them out. And they're looking for someone to play it with because that might help them out. So
dude, we can get a
co-op farm
yeah.
going.
Also, if you don't want to make friends with the townspeople, you don't have to.
Yeah,
you
you
can
really
leave those
don't.
at 1 star forever. I had one friend in town, the homeless guy,
Yeah.
for like a year, and he was my only friend. And I was like, "You and me, Linus, you're the only one."
I thought you were going to
need."
say he was the only one you didn't friend. And I was like, damn.
No, he was the only one I did friend. Like, he was my first and best friend for all of Stardew Valley, my
Yeah.
original file.
So, Roro
Talking
he's
about
jumping in at
Life
the
is
right time. Life is
Strange.
Strange.
Right
we
on
are.
time.
I agree. Yes, the story of Life is Strange is what really.
Linus is the best.
Okay, so we got some
Linus is the
additional
number
people.
one. So at some point, I know we'll probably never actually get around to it, but I really want us to go through kind of this style of together ranking all of the Stardew Valley people that you can hang out with.
Man.
Yeah, that would be a knockdown, drag out fight. But that's for the future.
That's for
Let's
the
get back
future.
to what we were talking
So
about.
so what were you saying about Life is Strange? You can take a sip. You can take a sip. Take a sip.
You sounded like you were going to say something.
No, we have a lot of talking left to do. We got to keep our throats not dry. So what is then about with Life is Strange? What about the story about these? Like, they are very story-driven games.
They're very story-driven games. I think the reason that I would pretty much instantly give in and say Life is Strange over Firewatch is for the very simple reason that there is slightly more to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit of a longer game.
Firewatch or Life is Strange?
Life is Strange.
Yes.
Life is Strange is a little bit of a longer game. It has more characters to interact with, which I think is a better representation of video games as a whole. Because Firewatch is really just one guy and one lady, and that's their entire relationship. And they technically never even meet face to face.
Right.
Whereas Life is Strange is kind of the more normal approach that you would get in most video games to NPCs and relationships. So you play as a main character, and then you go out and meet all of these other characters, and they build the story around you together. So very simply because Life is Strange has more characters that I think might be a little bit more engaging for someone that has never played a game before. It's got fun little features like the time travel feature, being able to go back in time, change your decisions. The decision making as a component to gameplay, Firewatch has that too. Firewatch has decision making and your decisions affecting the game. Life is Strange that just does it to a better, not to a better degree, but to a bigger degree.
Yeah.
So Life is Strange just fleshes those out a little bit more. And then it also has fun stuff like being able to take pictures. That's fun. Being able to take a picture of a squirrel, that was like the highlight of my game. I was
And
like,
those being
I
tied to
love-
like something like a trophy. So there's
and
like
it
a
being
bigger
tied
incentive
like
to do
an
them.
achievement and a trophy
Yeah.
system, which is a very simple achievement system, but that I think is a really good introduction to things like achievements. So Life is Strange is just, I think, a really easy game to be able to hand someone and say, play this, because there aren't really controls to learn. You don't even have a jump button.
Yeah.
You just eventually have to learn how to like
Walk
open
around
your camera,
slowly. Yeah.
walk slowly, look at, and the game always tells you anytime you get within range of something that you can interact with, there's always a little cursor that comes up above it and says press X to interact. So it's very user friendly in that anything in a room that you can do something with, it becomes obvious pretty immediately that you're able to do something with that. Now there are things you can miss, and that's part of the game, is that you have to make sure that you are looking around at stuff. And I feel like that's part of building game sense. So yeah, I think Life is Strange is a great game to play for a newbie for exactly those reasons. Firewatch kind of also has all of those same reasons, just to a more contained degree.
Yes. And I think Life is Strange, I think it can, because its story does veer to the heavy and does veer to the very emotional. So I feel like you also get that good range there too, as far as the story, for being like, hey, here are all these other games. They may be like really happy, like good, like have some fun story bits, which Life is Strange does. But also, like, if you want to see how a game can delve more into heavier topics and heavier discussions, I think Life is Strange does that really, really well.
And it does it without broaching into territory that we would rule out something like The Last of Us 4, which is too graphic of violence. It does have some violence and some mature topics, but it's nothing outlandish.
Right.
It's nothing wild.
Heads aren't exploding.
Heads
not
aren't
zombies,
exploding.
People
It's
getting
not like
viciously
that.
murdered in
So
ways.
even though it does have mature themes and it has some scenes that are kind of intense, none of it is meant to be shock value. It's not shock value, which I think is really important.
I agree. And so that's what I think. And then plus too, like how much those games resonated with you and me. Like we have talked about those games a ton.
amazing.
They're amazing games.
I want to play it again.
I know.
Let's just play it again
Let's
right
just go.
now.
Let's
Let's
just go.
just stop this episode. Let's just play Life is Strange again.
So I think Life is Strange for all those reasons that you just said.
Big
very
caveat.
much.
If we had been suggesting Life is Strange before it was finished and before all of the episodes were out?
Yes.
Hard no. Hard no. So
Play it as a complete package.
this assumes that you are able to play the game as a complete package,
Which
by
now
now you are.
you are,
But
yeah.
like if we're talking about theoretical future games or
Yes.
current ongoing games along those same lines, hard pass.
Hard pass
No.
because we are not a fan of episodic
Episodic
games.
gaming is bad for people and no one should play them
Agreed.
until they're done.
So we have those.
So I already gave one of mine up.
Okay.
It's your turn. Let's compare the rest of our
Let's
lists.
look at these lists.
Also, that's not technically how compromising works because it's, So the rest of my list
Because
is...
see, I was gonna come after one of yours now.
Ooh, okay.
I was gonna come after Final Fantasy VII.
Okay. Why?
I feel like that's probably too complex of a game to throw at somebody right off the bat. For a lot of the reasons of why I was saying like I would throw something like an Assassin's Creed because because yes, while I agree RPGs are fantastic games and they provide incredibly immersive experiences. At the onset, I feel like jumping into one like Final Fantasy, especially Final Fantasy VII, and again, if you're playing the original one, like I could go into Final Fantasy VII, the remake, I think, and have a good time. I have no interest in going back to the original because it does look fairly dated. The graphics are a little rough. And I just think there are a lot of systems in that game that would be confusing to try to pick up on if this is one of your first influences into games.
So here's the thing. Doodle Abides
Experiences
also
into
says,
games.
yeah, I think JRPGs are a little bit much for normies. But consider this.
All right.
For millions of gamers, millions, Final Fantasy VII and other JRPGs to come out around that same time were their first exposure to video games. I was that kid.
Okay.
Even though we didn't own Final Fantasy VII on our PlayStation 1, we had what I now recognize as an adult, because at the time, I didn't really understand what it was, on our home PC when I was probably 7, 8, maybe even younger than that. I don't exactly recall. We had a demo for Final Fantasy VII on our PC. It was just kind of under the games section of like the computer. So if you went to games, it was like Solitaire and Minesweeper and
Right.
hey, here's this thing called Final Fantasy. And I was like, yeah, let's play the Final Fantasy game again. I didn't have any concept of what a demo was. I just thought, that game is really short. But I would go back and play it again and again and again, just that demo. Because even though I didn't really understand what was happening, I didn't really get who the characters were because it was a random part in the middle of the game, I was still having a blast.
Okay.
And I feel like so many other gamers have had that exact same experience, which is why Final Fantasy VII just got a massive remake. And it's why there are 15 Final Fantasy games plus the ones on the side. Because even if you go into it thinking, this seems like a lot, the game does a good job, especially with the older games, which is why I kind of think they might actually be the better choice. I would even say Final Fantasy VI, which is considered by many to be the best one in the series. I would go for 6. I would go for 10. I think any of those Final Fantasy games are a great intro into the world of JRPGs, which I think is important because they're a massive subset of video gaming. They have a long and storied history. And once you actually realize, if I click attack on the attack menu, I do a choppy. It's not actually that hard. Like, you click sword and it goes chop, and you're like, wow, look at Cloud go and his giant sword. I did numbers? Is that what flew up over the person's head? Yeah, it is. That's the damage. And then you're like, oh no, they hit me back and I took numbers.
Yeah.
Am I hurt now? Did I just die? Yes, you did. And I feel like it's such an easy thing to begin to learn it, even if you don't have the ability to like mentally go into the statistics of it
Okay.
and kind of the more nuanced mechanical components of the game. You can still get a lot out of it and still have a wild, crazy, fun time. And it's bananas! And I feel like that's what other games aren't doing enough of. Going as big as outer space with their stories. Because
Yeah.
Final Fantasy was like, okay,
We're gonna
you've
do
got
this.
these environmental terrorists. They're the good guys. And it's like, okay. I'm with you. What's going on now? You're a mercenary. Okay. So we're infiltrating this building in a gross, weird city. All right, I'm with you so far. And then at the end of the game, it's like this guy wants to turn the entire planet into his spaceship and ride it through the rest of the universe, destroying other planets because he's kind of a psycho. Okay.
I'll believe this.
It's got that grandiose ridiculosity to it that I think is personally super fun. And I feel like millions of other people totally agree with me. So yeah, I would say literally any Final Fantasy game, except for maybe 8 because it's the most confusing one. The other ones, though. 8 is still a really good game, but maybe don't play it first. And don't play 15 first. That's a bad choice. Or 14 because it's technically an MMORPG.
Yeah.
So not 15 or 14 or 8, but any of the other ones. And not 1 or 2 because they're too old by now. Maybe just 6 or 7 or 9. The point
Gotta
is,
make one.
I
You
will
gotta
take
pick one.
any Final Fantasy, and the one that I think is the flagship Final Fantasy is 7. And I think most people, whether you believe it's critically the best or not, can agree on that.
So then would you say that you would maybe give, because if this is also taken into account that we're supposed to be telling someone right now that we're talking to, this game is the one you should play, would you sub it then for the remake rather than the original? Again, thinking that maybe, because I understand a good game is a good game, but it can still be hard to go back to something that maybe graphically doesn't stand up as well.
No. I've
think it's gonna
decided
hold?
I would still go with the older one. In this case, primarily because I feel like the older one is easier to get a hold of.
Okay.
I think the newer one, at least from what I've played so far, seemed pretty overwhelming to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I've played a crap ton of JRPGs. And I was like, whoa, this is a lot. So for exactly that reason, I would go with the original 7. I don't care that it looks like shit. It still plays good.
Well, that's
the
what I
thing.
mean. Like, a
It's
good game is a good game. Sometimes just with a
JRPG.
Yeah.
So it's hard to be like, oh, it doesn't mechanically work. Yes, it does. It works fine.
Well,
And
that's
if
what I
anything,
mean.
the newer game is harder.
That's what I mean. I'm not talking about mechanics. I'm just pure from the look of it. Sometimes that can be more difficult for people to jump into because of what they're used to. That's why I was saying, like, I would say Super Mario 64, but if the graphics are an issue and something that you don't necessarily want to handle, play Odyssey. Like, that's another fantastic
And
game.
I think that's a good trade. And that's actually what I was going to argue for Super Mario 64. But we're talking about Final Fantasy.
Right.
And I'm saying Final Fantasy deserves to be in that 5.
Okay. I honestly don't know if I can refute that enough to say that, like,
What
that.
were your other ones? So we
My
have to
other
decide
ones.
what it may replace. And in this case, I don't think Mario.
I don't think it would replace
I
Mario.
wouldn't sacrifice Mario quite yet.
I could almost sacrifice, I would say, I could
I could Sakurai.
Sakurai.
You know what? Let's replace the entire 10 with Super Smash Bros. Melee, Super Smash Bros. Brawl, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Well, let's just do 5 Smash games.
So we do have to catch up a little bit with the chat here. We do. We had Torque said that Final Fantasy VII. First, B Weaver called me out blasphemy for my statements on Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, shame on
Torque
you.
then says Final Fantasy VII was my second art JRPG, first being Final Fantasy Mystic Quest.
Mystic Quest? I haven't even heard of that one. That's what I'm saying. There's so many Final Fantasy games.
Okay, so I will give you that and say that Final
Yeah.
Fantasy VII stays. B Weaver then also said Tony Hawk Pro Skater is a blast for anyone, no
An
matter your
interesting
experience.
choice.
I actually never really played that one outside of demos at stores, so I can't really speak to that one.
I
I know
can't-
they have staying power
yeah.
because obviously they both got remastered
Yeah.
recently this year.
I can't speak to that one either, but I can speak, and I know that Torque can too, to SSX Tricky, which is a similar concept,
Mm-hmm.
but neither Pro Skater nor any of the SSX games would I put on this list.
Yeah.
Sure, they're fun. That's not even one of the ones that I thought of
Exactly,
when I was
same.
thinking of what 5 would I give. But good suggestion.
So I had Mario 64 or Odyssey, Stardew, Life is Strange, Assassin's Creed, or Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
And I think this is a good comment. Torque says primitive graphics don't look like crap unless they actually do against their peers. And at the time, Final Fantasy VII was right on par with
That's true.
everything else that was coming out at the time. So yeah, I think that's a really good
That is a very good point.
point. So what's the rest of your list?
So I had Super Mario 64, Assassin's Creed, or Call of Duty Modern Warfare.
What are the other two? Life is Strange.
Life
which
is
we already
Strange
agreed
and
on.
Stardew Valley that we already agreed
Ooh,
on.
okay. So you've got Call of Duty, Mario, and Assassin's Creed.
And Assassin's Creed.
Of those
I mean,
three,
if you were switching RPG for RPG, I would say, or not even RPG, but like RPG Lite for an RPG, I could say we could get rid of Assassin's Creed, potentially.
I think so. I think so too, because Mario I'm not willing to get rid of. that's one that I'm thinking I might be able to give some on my side as well. So let's keep Mario on the table.
If I'm gonna give you in this scenario, if I'm gonna relent on my qualms about Final Fantasy VII, I gotta hit you for the difficulty level in Hollow Knight though.
Okay, so let's go on ahead and say let's give up Assassin's Creed for Final Fantasy.
Okay.
And then let's talk about Hollow Knight v Mario, because I think we were thinking kind of the same thing. So here's the thing about Hollow Knight.
Strap in.
Here's the thing about Hollow Knight. So yes, it's technically a hard game. Technically.
Yes.
But I feel like Hollow Knight does an incredible job of introducing the elements of the game in such a pace that you have time to adjust and to learn them and master them before you're able to move on to the next segment. So for example, the first things that you start with in Hollow Knight as part of your repertoire, and if nobody's played Hollow Knight before, or if anybody hasn't played Hollow Knight before, I should say, it is a 2D side-scrolling Metroidvania game, which I am still really on board with the concept of replacing the term Metroidvania with exploration adventure, because I think that's such a better term for it, because you're exploring somewhere and you're on an adventure. Have at, buddy.
Right.
It's like, yeah, I can definitely deal with that. So it's a 2D exploration adventure game, which gives you a wide berth to just explore at your own pace, do what you want, and get lost. And I kind of feel like that's a good experience to have as a gamer, to be like, I don't know where I am, and also all of these bugs are killing me, and I keep dying, and I'm very sad. Resident Evil 7, a good starting point. Good heavens! All right, we'll get to that later.
Yeah, we'll get to this stuff in a second. We gotta finish this.
We gotta finish this out.
So all those things that you just said about Hollow Knight is why I say it shouldn't be in here, and I
Okay.
feel that Mario is a better introduction to, because I have started and played some of Hollow Knight, but it's for a lot of those
you
things
scrub
that you said,
lord.
it is hard for me to go back to. Not only do I run into like having difficulty with some of the fights and mastering some of the opponents there, I frequently find myself getting lost.
Yes.
I frequently find myself not knowing what to do next, and that has made it hard for even me to want to enjoy.
Okay.
Not saying my opinion is the end all be all, but like that is kind of the reason where I'm like, it does. While it does have all the great benefits, and I've heard you talk about all the great things that this game does, I feel like its barrier to entry is still just a little too high, because you are having played Hollow Knight, having already played the Marios, having
That's
already
true.
played all these other things.
That's
You
a good
have a
point.
lot of history.
That's a good
So I feel like you with platformers, Metroidvania games. So I feel like that really has set you up for success with Hollow Knight.
That's a very good point.
Handing someone Hollow Knight as one of their very first games, I think they're going to be putting it down pretty quick.
I knew it was a long shot, but I wanted to put it on my list anyways. So here's the thing. I will, for exactly that reason, that it does require a certain amount of prior game sense to be able to truly have not mastery of it, but a fun experience.
Yes.
I can understand that. So I will give you Hollow Knight, but not in exchange for 64. I will take Odyssey. Because going back, I have also recently replayed Super Mario 64. And frankly, in modern times, there are mechanical components of the game that I think don't hold up.
Camera's a little
Primarily
rough, I will
the
say.
The camera sucks. The depth perception, just because, with Final Fantasy, for example, you can't fall off things and die.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, just die by accident because you weren't able to visually tell where you were in any given space.
Right.
With Mario 64, you can. You can just think that you were going to make a jump and you totally thought you had it, but it was actually at a slightly different depth than you thought it was. But because the shading and the graphics were different back then, you didn't quite realize that it was at the distance that it really was. So I find Mario 64 to not really be that fun anymore, and I like it. I like that game. I think Odyssey is still a better experience overall, especially for modern times, simply because it does everything that 64 did, but better.
Yeah.
I think it just does everything 64 did, but better. It's visually much more appealing, and not just because of the graphic quality, but the attention to detail. That's what it really is. It's things like going into the food kingdom and just having these huge piles of a blueberry, a carrot. Here's some really nice broccoli. It's just there's so much variety in each and every level that's very visually appealing, and it also helps you form really fast, connected memories to each area. Like Toast Arena, what a fun place. It's tasty sounding, and the sand is like really dark red, and it makes you hungry, and like all the stones are purple or whatever. What a fun place to be. Like it has very quick connection that very much like kind of like a sugar rush just makes you happy looking at it. Whereas 64, yeah, it looks good still. It does have some staying power. I just don't think it has quite enough staying power mechanically to still hold up to modern scrutiny. But
agree with
Odyssey
that.
does.
I agree with that because I think that it does. Sorry, I heard we got a follow alert or some kind of alert
Oh,
came
no.
through. Skeletora followed you.
Skelly!
Thank you.
I know Skelly. She's amazing. Yay, Skelly. We love you.
And so I feel like I agree with that as well. I think, and that's why I put Odyssey in this as well as like the because I feel like you can't say somebody here's 5 games that I think you should play as your first, which I just noticed your Triforce earrings. Well done.
Oh my god, I didn't put a single Legend of Zelda game on my list.
Wow.
I'm not a real gamer. Oh no. Shit.
But
Well,
but
damn.
I think though that Mario as a whole, you can't say to someone, here are 5 new games and not include a Mario. So that's why I think like I put 64 or Odyssey. I agree with you. Odyssey is basically 64 2.0 to a degree because
Yeah,
it
I
is
think so
very
too.
similar in feel. You have the same. That's what I loved about 64, especially as a kid, was that there were so many different worlds within it to explore. And Odyssey takes that same feel, and I remember playing it for the first time. I was like, "This feels like 64."
It
But it
does.
is I agree with you. It has much better graphical quality. The mechanics are much better, especially because you have that smooth 360
That's
every
the
angle
thing.
camera.
Everything in that game just angles really, really well.
Yeah.
And that being said, that's kind of the same reason that I wouldn't have picked either of the Galaxy games, which are my personal favorites.
Right.
I still like the Galaxy games more than Odyssey, but I wouldn't give Galaxy to a new gamer because I do think that a lot of people have reported in the past that the gravity shifting mechanics kind of made them feel a little queasy.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't start with that. I would start with Odyssey.
And 2, Odyssey also introduces a big change, like some new gameplay with Cappy.
Yeah, and plus Cappy's just fun.
Cappy's just
what
fun.
a fun great. You get to be a frog with a mustache.
Right?
It's a no-brainer.
Exactly. So I think we've been pretty successfully, because see, in my list too, I was almost like, and I feel like I eventually knocked it off the list for the same reasons that I said about Hollow Knight. I wanted to put Ori on this list too,
Ooh, but yeah.
but same thing. It's pretty hard
Yeah, I thought about Ori for my own list too, and I knocked it out pretty quickly.
because it does have a lot of added elements to it that you would learn in a platformer like Mario.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, because Mario has puzzles and you could solve those puzzles. It teaches you that problem solving pretty easily, which I think builds that game sense to
That's
then
a
be
good
able
point.
to take on games like Ori or Hollow Knight. I saw in the chat here, let's see, where was it? Oh, B Weaver said, imagine Blasphemous being someone's first game.
Ooh, bad
My
choice.
God.
Bad choice.
I wanted to break my Switch in half playing Blasphemous. So I
Yeah.
can't imagine being the first
And
person's
so,
experience to
I
a
know that
platformer.
I have certainly experienced this to an extent with Hollow Knight, like periods of being frustrated, but I feel like I had that more so with Ori. So that was like the immediate reason that I knocked Ori out of the running, because I remember feeling more frustrated at Ori
Interesting.
much more consistently than with Hollow Knight. Yeah, Hollow Knight is probably on paper a harder game.
Mhm.
It actually
I would
definitely
agree with
is. But I didn't feel frustrated by it. And I
See,
think
I
that's
felt
the
so
difference.
frustrated with Hollow Knight,
Yeah.
whereas Ori, I had my spots with it, but I love Ori so much.
Just different experiences. And I still like Ori. I still really like that game. It's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
But just in terms of like, would you give it to someone who's never played before? Hell no. No.
Yeah, no. Build up to it.
There's
Build
that
up to it.
mean frog that spits stuff at you and kills you nonstop. I would never do that to someone else.
Very true. Okay, so we are then locking in Super Mario Odyssey,
We've got Mario Odyssey, Stardew Valley,
Life is
and
Strange,
Life is Strange.
Final Fantasy VII,
And
'cause we're
Final
keeping
Fantasy VII, yeah.
So we only have
Ooh, we've
one
only
more.
got room for one more. Okay, so the remaining ones on my list were I still have. Ooh, I actually only have Tekken 7 left on my list. The other ones have already been negotiated away.
All right. So here's where I'm going to kind of come at Tekken. Fighting games, again, unless, and I kind of have a feeling that one of your arguments for Tekken is going to be similar to Final Fantasy in that it's one of the things that some like people could have started their gaming on. Like obviously Mortal Kombat and all that stuff when it was first coming out were very big, impactful games. But also fighting games are another thing that require a lot of skill. And so I feel like it would be almost fit into the realm of like why we didn't count Tony Hawk or what was the other one you mentioned? SSX.
Yeah.
For a similar reason. It's a very specific genre that attracts very specific gamers, I believe.
That being said, and this was my reason for putting Tekken on the list, is fighting games as a genre are still massive.
Mm-hmm.
They are still massively popular. They attract millions of gamers every year. And they have been an integral part of video games since their inception.
Okay.
What were some of those original games in the boxes, in the cases in arcades? Fighting
Donkey
games.
Kong.
Well, Donkey Kong too. So we had OG Mario, which was technically Donkey Kong.
Right.
Then we had real Donkey Kong, and then you have Pac-Man and fighting games. Fighting games have always been there since the very beginning, and I feel like in modern times, they are still very applicable to modern gaming as a whole. The reason that I picked Tekken is because in comparison to the other fighting games, I feel like it is so much more intuitive.
Mm-hmm.
And that is specifically because circle, right leg, X, left leg, triangle, right arm, square, left arm. Each of the buttons does something specific, and it is very easy to visually see it happen at the time that if I hit square, this arm moves. If I hit triangle, this arm moves. If I hit X, this leg moves. If I hit circle, this one moves.
Right.
It is so much more intuitive than, say, Dragon Ball Fighters
or Street Fighter 5.
Our most hated enemy, Street Fighter 5. How do you play that game?
I still don't know. We played it for 2 hours and I'm still
It's more
clueless.
intuitive than Smash to me. Like, what the hell do the buttons do
I
in
still get
Smash?
really frustrated in
I don't
Smash.
know.
I like Smash, but I
don't
still
know
get
what
very
the buttons
frustrated
do.
in Smash.
I know that one of the buttons makes a shield consistently, and that's the only button that I know will do something with consistency. Whereas Street Fighter, you know, all of the crazy fighter, even Soul Calibur, because things like Soul Calibur and Mortal Kombat introduce these other elements of weapons. Like, you've actually got a weapon that you have to take into account as well. Whereas Tekken, it is your fists and your feet.
Pure
and that is
fisticuffs.
all you have. And I feel like the command list is always there to teach you, if I push these and this, a thing will happen.
Yep.
If I push this and these two, a different thing will happen. So in terms of how easy is it to pick it up and understand what's happening very quickly, Tekken is top of that list for me. For an entire genre, I'm speaking for the whole fighting game community, I think anybody should start with Tekken.
Okay.
And of course, many, many people did. A lot of people started with fighting games as their first game. So I would say Tekken. You need to play this Tekken game and get on that sweet, sweet FGC-ing. Is that what they call it? Fighting game community-ing?
All right, so I want to jump back to the chat real quick. We had Sleepy Snail saying, all hail Hollow Knight.
Yeah.
Then B Weaver again saying Mario 64 has Metal Mario. So it is by default the most Metal Mario game.
Well,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, haha.
But then I also just want to point out a few of these chat messages saying still haven't completed Hollow Knight. Had to drop Hollow Knight after an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Hollow Knight is not my kind of game. So I feel like that right there backs
pretty
up
solid.
our
yeah, that's
decision
some
there.
some solid backup. Also, look at all these fake gamers in chat. Look at all these people that don't really game. Weaklings.
But then Sleepy Snails does ask real quick on. Well, let's finish up and then we'll come back for this one.
Okay.
Oh, we see your comment, Sleepy Snails. We will answer it in a second. Although I do like Torque saying my superpower in Smash is getting juggled by Sheik.
Right? My superpower is killing myself because I don't know how to save myself after I've fallen off.
Yeah.
Dude, some people fall, like, here's the stage. They'll fall down to here to the bottom of the screen, and then they make it back up to
And
the
like
stage.
jet completely across
And I'm
under
like-
it. I see that. I'm like, I don't understand.
I don't know. I push the buttons and that doesn't happen. And I feel like that's why I would never recommend Smash to anyone. Period.
So your reasons for fighting games and like Tekken especially being like it's such a big community, has a enjoys this massive player base, while first person shooters aren't necessarily not as early as Tekken. They
Well,
still
you
have a
kinda could
very
argue that they are because Doom is hella old.
That's what I was going to say. You've got Doom and in that same thing, which maybe I could be convinced to switch maybe Doom 2016 out as opposed to Call of Duty Modern.
Really? You're gonna outro Hollow Knight in favor of Doom?
That's true.
How dare you?
Doom's pretty hard. But so for that very same reason, I feel like Modern Warfare, Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the original one, is the great entry. It is a great place to start with a grounded first-person shooter. And I say grounded being that you don't have super abilities. You're not like a super soldier. And as I talk about this, you could even make the same argument for Halo. Would be very similar. But as far as like the staying power, and again, the community that's been built around Call of Duty, I think is very expansive. And I think that having that, like knowing that, like having Modern Warfare or like Call of Duty as like your base and look into first person shooters, I think gives you a good idea of if you're going to be a fan of that genre or not. Because I feel like Modern Warfare, the original, has a great single player story that I played over and over again. It is probably one of the only games that I have that I've replayed the single player story. I have probably played that upwards of 10 times. And I cannot say that really, I don't think, about any other campaign game, be it a massive RPG or a shorter story game like Call of Duty. Also, though, it does give you that jumping in point to like online multiplayer with it, because it does also have, again, I feel like Modern Warfare, the original Modern Warfare is. You did run into some things like you could have that grenade launcher that everybody just spammed for a while. You could still have the quick shot, the quick scope snipering and going on and all that different stuff. But I still feel like that game, for what it presented in a first person shooter, as just like a grounded experience. You're not flying around. You're not having to like learn how to like, the
warthog.
Yeah, you're not having to learn to deal with like, fighting against vehicles and different stuff like that, like in Halo. You're not having to worry about somebody doing a super leap over, from like way far away.
Or those slide thingies.
Yeah.
Like when people slide at you and shoot you and you're like, stop.
I feel like you don't have to compensate. Like, granted, yes, there are people in these areas who are insanely good at the game. But I feel like still you can jump into a multiplayer match of Call of Duty and still have a pretty good time. You're not going to get frustrated, I feel like, because you have the main game to practice. It's not like Apex where you're immediately in a multiplayer situation. You have the campaign of the story to practice you. It also is a incredibly fantastic and well told story, introducing fantastic characters like Soap McTavish, Captain Price, and introducing very those iconic characters into gaming that I feel like, again, are really cool to get to see. But I feel like I kind of feel like we're like more not necessarily fighting for the games, but more the genre.
Yeah.
Which genre I feel like we should be including here.
So, quick tiny amount of learning that I just now learned.
Oh.
Some people credit the first-person shooter game as Wolfenstein 3D, which came out in 1992.
Ooh.
But then they go on to say that most people would say that Doom is one of the most influential games in the genre, having popularized the first-person shooter.
Yeah.
So 1992-ish is where we're looking at for the dawn of the first-person shooter.
So yeah, so I would say, and Mortal Kombat was probably around.
Did you have? So what else is on your list? Do you still have something other
No,
than
that was
Call
it.
of Duty?
It was originally.
Okay.
I had Horizon and Last of Us, but then we talked ourselves out of those already. So this is where it's hard.
Yeah.
Maybe we need some chat input on this.
Yeah, actually, let's just.
What would you?
Because
of the arguments
I'm not really willing to give up fighting games.
Maybe we could just do like a tie. Maybe
we should play some Tekken to decide who's gonna win.
That's true. But that's the thing. You played more Tekken. I played more first-person shooter.
And I feel like one of the benefits of Tekken is that you don't necessarily have to be in the community to still be able to enjoy them. It does also have an online component, so you can still play online. But the real the real joy of fighting games is just beating the crap out of your siblings and getting the crap beaten out of you. Fighting games are, at the end of the day, a family experience.
Okay.
They're family games.
But see, now I can counter that exactly with saying that some of my favorite memories of like my childhood and stuff was sitting around, huddled around a TV playing Modern Warfare with my buddies. And just like the same thing, not only annihilating your opponent in there, but like for Call of Duty's example, we would make is just like getting a ridiculous kill streak. Even now, if I get like a 5+ kill streak in that game, I feel so good. But then also with Call of Duty, we would make up fun little challenges for each other. Like you could only use pistols, you could only use a knife, and like then competing in like one-on-one battles against these things with friends. Again, highlight of my youth. And so I feel like those are hard. And so, okay, so
we're not getting a lot of these aren't definitive answers though. This isn't helping people. We need a 1 or a 2. 1 for first person shooters, 2 for fighting games.
Okay, so I understand that. I understand Doodle Abide's point here. Fighting games are easier to mash buttons in. Can't get away with that in a first person shooter.
So that's the thing is you can in fact go into not a first person shooter. You can go into a fighting game knowing literally nothing about games, and you can still make something happen, and you technically can still win.
That's true.
So you can have that little rush of I won, having literally zero brain, like the dimmest, most black cloud galaxy non-brain in existence, and you can still make something happen in a fighting game. It looks cool.
Mm-hmm.
It makes you feel strong, and you're like, yeah, I just did something. I just gamed. Was that me? Did I game? Whereas with Call of Duty, I think that as a starter, it does require a little bit more skill.
I would
to
agree.
pick up at the outset and do just buttons and make something happen. You know what you technically don't need? Oh, wait, so I said 2 for fighting games, though. You voted for the wrong one.
Wait, what are we doing now?
1 is for first person shooter, 2 is for fighting game. Put your vote in the chat.
2 is for
no,
fighting
it's too late. You already typed in the 2, so we've got 2 for fighting games. Yeah, she's a fake gamer. She doesn't get a vote.
Wait, so does she like first person shooters? Is that what I'm hearing?
So she's saying it's a 1, but she typed in the wrong number, so it's a 2. So we've got 2 for fighting games. All right, so we've got technically 2 for first person shooter and 1 for fighting game.
Okay. We'll give it a little bit more.
That's only 3 votes.
We'll give it a little bit more.
We'll give it a little bit more. So let's say in a different example then, if neither of us are willing to give on this last slot, is there a different game that we could both agree on?
That might be a good way to go about this, because I feel like we could go back and forth on this forever.
Ooh, we've got another one for 2, so we're at a tie right now.
We're at a tie. Okay, so
Call of
Skeletor,
Duty
I like this, is
bad and scary.
and scary to beginners, but Halo is a wonderful world for beginning gamers everywhere.
Interesting choice.
I could go with that. I could get on board. I would switch Halo.
We've got 3 for fighting games now.
Okay.
We're up to 3 for mine. Speaking from personal experience, my older sister and her fiance enjoy Tekken.
Okay, so we are getting more fighting games.
Oh, wait, I was about to say, I have a sister and a fiance. That's our sister. Whoops. Ooh, we've got another one for 2.
Okay, so
you
we
know,
are
I think
kind of
you do actually have the ability to put polls in chat. Let me see if I can figure this out real quick. I'm technically a mod.
But so, okay, so I think we could either. I feel like the tide is swaying more towards a fighting game, so we could go that, or is there something else we should pick?
Yeah, so let's think, what if we, actually somebody put a suggestion earlier that I think we meant to circle back to, but then
Oh, yeah, we
forgot.
did. Sleepy Snails.
Somebody asked about, Sleepy Snails asked about, what about the Tomb Raider series?
I wouldn't count that one, I don't think, because I just purely from I can't really speak a whole lot about it because the only one I've played is the 2013 remake.
Good point. So I have played the remake, Rise of the Tomb Raider, and I think I've technically played bits and pieces of the older ones, but only because my mom owned them. Haven't played enough of the older ones to really have that core background.
While I loved the 2013 reboot of Tomb Raider, I don't know if I can potentially say
somebody also just suggested Dream Daddy.
That fits too close to Life is Strange.
We didn't even touch on dating sims.
But I feel like that's a little like in the same vein of Life is Strange.
Kirok, you're about to get banned, buddy. Kirok's cruising for a banning.
Tomb Raider would be on par with Uncharted.
He's cruising to get banned. You want to get banned, buddy? Neither of us picked Uncharted for obvious reasons because it's a garbage
Well, I've only
tier
played the first one of that one too, but I didn't hate it near as much as you did.
Oh,
I
God.
actually enjoyed it.
If you had played 1/4 of the second game and then realized that
they're still on my
that
list.
you were literally throwing your life in the garbage can, you would have been like, "Oh, never mind, I'm out." So I played about 1/4 of Uncharted 2. If I had played 50% of Uncharted 2, I think I would have quit gaming forever. I think it would have hollowed me out of any love of gaming, and I just would have had to quit.
See, Kirok loves them all. It's like on my list to finish all of the Uncharted's.
Don't bother, bro. You've
We
got
just hit-
so much life
We just
to
hit
live.
$1,000. Should I be?
We
should I
should
be
have
playing Uncharted?
made this list the 5 games that you would never recommend to anyone. Mine would have been Uncharted 1, 2, 3, 4, and I don't know, Call of Duty. It would have been all of
I
the
don't even know
Uncharted.
if I have 5 games. Oh man, I'd have to think about 5.
Yes, the specific questions is what 5 games would we give to someone to play that has never played video games before?
See, Brandon's with me. He thinks I would enjoy Uncharted 2. I think I would too.
Tragically, I think he's right.
I probably would love those games
Yeah.
actually.
What does it say about you?
That I'm a great gamer with great taste.
Yeah. So, Uncharted aside and Tomb Raider aside, I'm not sure that I would pick Tomb Raider either as a game
Yeah.
to give somebody at the outset. I do think that the reboot specifically, the 2013, 2016 game, is a fantastic
Great game.
But I still think it's not super user friendly because it does have just a lot of mechanics going on in it. And it does have a pretty high difficulty level for certain parts of the game. So even though I think it's a fantastic experience, no, I wouldn't say play this one as like a first gaming experience.
So Kara then says, scrap Uncharted, but what about Last of Us?
He
So we
wasn't
talked about
here
this
for the
one.
whole first part.
You weren't here about it. We talked about Last of Us for a little bit, but then I ultimately decided to scrap it because while, yes, Last of Us is my personal favorite game, and that series is my personal favorite series, I feel like it veers too much into like, and what I believe like kind of the end all be all pinnacle of gaming in terms of like storytelling, combining that with mechanics and things like that.
I was eating homemade lasagna.
Oh
That's
my
why he
God,
wasn't
that
here
sounds
for the
delicious.
start.
That sounds
It
delicious.
does sound pretty tasty.
But we decided to cut it because it does veer into a very heavy storyline with a lot of violence, a lot of, just very dark, depressing moments. And it's just a very mature game. I feel like you have to kind of know what you're looking for going in. And that being someone's very first experience, while hopefully if they chose that as their first game would be an incredible experience for them, I feel like to say right off the bat, you need to play this one, I would say play Last of Us eventually, but get some others under your belt maybe.
Maybe we're missing a really obvious choice here.
Okay.
What about something like The Sims?
Oh.
Which is arguably a game that many people got their hands on back in the mid-90s.
That's true.
When video games were kind of just becoming mainstream popular and
that-
played the hell out of.
So I honestly missed The Sims. I played like games like, not the same I know, but like something like Sim Tower. I played that. But would that follow maybe almost too close into the resource management of like Life is Strange, Stardew Valley? I mean,
Like Life is Strange. But perhaps.
everything goes back to Life is Strange.
So I feel like The Sims might be in sort of a different category almost. I do think
Again,
that
I
they're
haven't
really
played them, so I
similar.
could be out.
The reason that I think that is specifically because The Sims kind of has, because Stardew Valley is more like a farming simulator, very specifically, whereas The Sims is more like Zoo Tycoon, City Tycoon, The Sims itself,
Right.
all of the Sims spin-offs. I kind of feel like it's a different thing, but I'm not sure I feel so strongly about it that I would have it be my personal recommendation.
Yeah, I don't think I would either.
But when I was young and playing Unreal Tournament 2 for the first time with my best friend Jessie Janae and on her brother's computer up in their bonus room, the other game that we would play all the time was The Sims. Like it was The Sims and Unreal Tournament, and those were the 2 games that we were hardcore addicted to.
So Skeletor also says,
Zoo Tycoon was a legend in its field.
I like that, or like Roller Coaster Tycoon could also be.
Bro,
thrown into
that's
that
the
too.
one.
But,
Zoo Tycoon. Wait,
Where
did I
was-
just say
da- da-
that?
da- da-
Yeah, I did.
You did. What was the ones that I just saw? Skeletor also said Oblivion, Age of Empires, or Halo. Now, seeing Age of Empires, I'd kind of thought something like that because obviously another one of my favorite series, Civilization. But kind of the same thing. It has I still don't know everything there is to know about Civilization, but it was also one of my early entry games. So if it is one that you chose to learn on, you could get a handle on that. But still, I feel like unless the person is specifically looking for it,
I don't know if it would be one that I would suggest first off. Because yes, Age of Empires, Stronghold, Civilization, I played the shit out of those games growing up. So I love them. But I also was attracted to them because I had a very, I love playing Age of Empires and Civ and Stronghold because of their historical context.
Because you're a nerd.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
For
okay.
sure. So, but I wonder, through doing this podcast, yes, I've met several people. Like I know Kirok and Doodle Bites, your bro Mogan just picked up Civ 6 not too long ago for Switch.
And they're loving it.
And they're loving it, I think, right? But they still picked it. They're
You're loving
enough to
it,
pick
right?
It up. Yeah, you're loving it, right? You better,
You better say
it.
yes.
So I feel like it would be those though, again, it's resource management, but it's a lot of resource management because it's different even than again, that's why I would veer more to Stardew Valley as opposed to one of those games because Stardew Valley has
kind of all of the same beats, but just
the
in
same
a
beats,
different packaging.
but they're also not naturally decreasing. And constantly needing to be replenished.
That's true.
Age of Empires and stuff like that, you're using your food to build units. You're using your wood to build buildings. You're using your gold to buy whatever you need. And those things you have to constantly be mining. So you're having to manage what units are constantly getting those resources. You're having to manage what you're spending those on. You're having to manage against attacking empires coming in and destroying your buildings. There's a lot more to learn there. So again, I feel like maybe those might be, again, fantastic. I feel like maybe difficult.
Okay, so here's the thing. I won't cave to Tekken for Call of Duty.
Okay.
But I do love first-person shooters. My own personal suggestion would have been Metroid Prime, but I can't really recommend that to you because I know you won't take it.
And I haven't played
but
it. But
here's the thing. I would give it up for Halo specifically because I feel like it is a more, frankly, to me, visually and world building, more appealing game. The world of Call of Duty doesn't interest me in the slightest.
Because it's too close to our real world.
Because it's too close to our real world. And it's boring. It's ugly and boring. It is an ugly, boring place. But the world of Halo, even though I don't really play those games myself, I understand. I get the appeal. I get that it's like space and junk and there's like a big metal ring in the sky and stuff's going down and like there's craziness happening out there. I totally get the appeal of Halo and I recognize that it is an iconic first-person shooter in the field. So I would give you Halo, but I won't give it up for Call of Duty.
It doesn't have as near as much of a very, even because Doom, even 2016, again, forgive me.
Yeah, sci-fi shooters are cooler than military shooters.
I would get on board with that for Halo, I believe. Okay. Because I think, I agree with you. Halo is a series that I have also played. And it was the second, if we weren't playing Call of Duty, we were playing Halo, me and my friends growing up. So it's like, I would go with that. And I don't necessarily feel like you need to pick ones because obviously the first three are regarded as the best.
Yes.
So, I would just say play the Halo series if somebody was asking, obviously starting with number one.
Well, now we've got Minecraft in the mix, which you know what? I'm going to go on ahead and say no. You want to just say no?
I'm saying no
and
to
not
Minecraft.
justify it? Let's just say no. No.
But yes, I think I would agree with you. I will do that. I will get rid of Call of Duty.
An agreement has been
we
have reached a gentle person's agreement.
Exactly. Through discourse and debate.
Indeed. Through gentle personly debate. So the 5 games that we've picked then to give to someone who has never played video games before are Stardew Valley.
Yes.
Super Mario Odyssey. Final Fantasy VII.
Yep.
Fourth one I can't. Life is Strange. There we go. Life is Strange and Halo.
I'm very happy with that list.
Pretty solid variety of games.
Yeah.
I would
think
be
it gives people stuff. It gives enough, especially like Stardew, cheap, very low barrier to entry. Life is Strange at this point, fantastic story, great mechanics, also very cheap to pick up at this point.
Pinnacle of storytelling, narrative storytelling.
Link of you have a whole series. Yeah, and the pew pew pew.
And the pew pew pew.
And it does have very engaging combat, great online multiplayer a component as well. And also one of the most iconic video game characters of all time in Master Chief.
And also, oh man, see, I'm just convincing myself even more. The music of Halo. Can we give?
See, that's the thing. Call of Duty doesn't have that same scale of iconic soundtrack. The Halo soundtrack, I don't care who you are, you have to recognize that soundtrack is amazing.
Oh yeah,
you got to give it up. So I will freely compromise Tekken for Halo.
All right, so people are still trying to get us on this Minecraft thing. I'm sorry.
But Knights of the Old Republic is one of the friendliest beginner RPGs and is based on a franchise many non-gamers are familiar with. Yeah, but consider this. Star Wars is lame. So...
Hey guys, I regret to inform you that
Team Chat Podcast is tragically over.
It's being dissolved. Team Chat Podcast is no more. Mogan has crossed the line that cannot be crossed. And I'm sorry, we have to call this a close.
Yeah,
I'm glad we raised all this money for everybody.
Good way to blow it out.
We're not gonna continue the stream. It's reached its conclusion.
So the thing is, I have watched somebody. Skelly was there. So Camp the Boy played all of Knights of the Old Republic on stream, and I watched that stream, and I was like, I would have hated this game. I would have hated this game if I had played it then, and I'm hating it now. It was fun to watch somebody else play it because I didn't have to play it.
Yeah.
But if it had been me, I think I would have super not enjoyed it. So
I have
say
not
we
finished
leave
KOTOR,
that out of
so I can't really speak to that one either.
There we go. So let's just leave it out of the mix. Let's go with a nice, safe option of Halo.
I think Halo is a good just overall RPGs.
Also,
that's what I mean. RPGs and what that like. You know, I tried to fight you on Final Fantasy VII. I know. I'm about ready to need to like turn back around to face the TV.
This isn't our usual setup.
But I have to agree. Final Fantasy, as far as like an RPG, I agree with all your reasons there. It's RPGs are harder. I feel like to. I feel like you could say somebody, are you looking for an RPG? Cool. What do you like? Like, and you could like maybe give a choice. And then if they're like, oh, I love Star Wars. KOTOR.
That's a good point. So no, I'm actually not. I'm not a Star Wars fan. I like Star Wars. I just love to give Jerrett heck about it. I'm a natural born heckler. So anything that somebody else likes, I'm just gonna dig at it just a little.
And you know how to push those buttons.
A little.
Just dig in really.
In the exception of Uncharted, which is genuine garbage. that's the one genuine garbage game. Star Wars, I like. I just like to push Jarrett's buttons.
I know,
sometimes.
and you did. I almost canceled this whole stream.
My favorite movie is the one where they go to space and then there are ships and guns and pew pew.
Also, speaking of Star Wars real quick, I'm not even going to address that. But can we...
because it's all of the movies.
Can we give a big shout out to Mandalorian Season 2? My God, everyone. It's been fantastic television so far. Check it out if you haven't watched it. Check out also, just going to go ahead and do a little promo here. Check out Beskar Boys. I'm doing an episode recap
Promoing your own show on this show. How dare you?
Also, then check out Catch Up Culture for this podcast I do with Samantha as well.
Now, that one you get Sam on.
There we go.
Yeah. Yeah, what's Mandalorian? Don't worry. You don't need to worry about it.
Oh, my God. Yeah, I like, and that was kind of the hard point about this too, Bro Mogan, when he says, I like Skeletor's point about picking game genre based on who you're recommending games to. I agree. That's obviously when going into this discussion, that's the easiest way to figure out what to recommend to people, but we're also looking at just like from an overall blank slate.
Yeah, the question was, you have a person. Like, let's say you meet somebody on the street and they say, what 5 games should I play? And you don't have time to get their backstory and their personal interests, and none of their clothing have logos for popular media on it. You just kind of have to guess.
Yeah.
And these are the 5 that we would guess. So I feel like that's a really solid list for someone who has never in their life played a video game.
I think so too.
We should have just picked Minesweeper and been done with it.
Oh, see, I hate Minesweeper.
It's a terrible game.
Let's see. Torque Glare says Star Wars sequel trilogy really sucks. I do enjoy Mando though. Okay, now I agree with you. Sequel trilogy is not the strongest of the trilogies, but is it? I have a question for you though. Is it better or worse than prequel trilogy? Think on that for a little bit. While we get to Brandon's catch-up culture is great. I've listened to the first 3 episodes so far. Oh, thanks. Woohoo! But let's see.
Is she saying that Minesweeper is the one that has amazing character arcs? I like to think so. How the flags interact with the mines.
She also says if someone came up to me and asked me on the street wearing entirely gray clothes, I'd start looking around for cameras.
Yeah, I would too. I didn't say they were gray. I said they didn't have logos on them. So yeah.
I think that's a pretty solid list.
I think that's a pretty solid list. So Fuchsia, thank you for the really fun topic, we did somehow, yet again, wind up filling nearly 2 hours with this debate. Just like I said, every time we think we're not going to go that long, we go that long.
Brandon says prequel trilogy has more memes.
That's true.
Better memes.
And frankly, the memes are better.
I honestly I think I do like the prequel better than the sequel.
Here's the thing. The prequel has the high ground.
There you go. Right there. I have to agree with you there.
Yeah.
Prequel, I will say, I love the prequel trilogy. I think they're great.
I like them too.
I will say Attack of the Clones is probably... man, it's hard.
I hate the first one.
We're going into a whole different...
I hate the first one of the prequels the most because, frankly, very child Anakin.
It's hard to get past.
He ruins it.
I think
I know
Attack
it's
of the
not
Clones,
his fault and he's literally a child, but he just makes it unwatchable.
I think Attack of the Clones is my least favorite, I will say.
That's the second one,
that's
right?
That's the second one, yes. I like, and then I think shortly, I haven't done a definitive ranking. That's a discussion for another time. But
we'll do that in our next podcast.
There we go. So
it'll be rating every 15 minutes of each movie. That's how we're going to space it out into a really long show.
Make it come. He says both trilogies have their major... Torque says both trilogies have their major and awful weaknesses, but the prequel trilogy has a coherent storytelling vision and dared to be different, whereas the sequel trilogy seems to only rely on nostalgia and Rian Johnson.
I feel like that's a very good point.
That's a very good point.
The prequels did actually try to do some new and weird stuff, which compared to the current sequel trilogy...
I mean, let's be fair. Force Awakens is a copy of A New Hope.
I feel like it really is. Like Disney just got its clutches into it and just wouldn't let go. And it's that stranglehold that's kind of choking out some of the fun.
Yeah.
Whereas with the prequels, they were like, we're going to get weird with it. And it's like, okay, go for it, buddy. Do your thing.
Brandon also says that episode 2 has Obi-Wan Jesus, which is very true. And I actually just got the Obi-Wan Jesus action figure yesterday.
Oh, nice. Plus, it has Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah.
Do we forget Samuel L. Jackson?
And it has Jango Fett. Man.
And it has Qui-Gon Jinn.
No, that's episode 1.
Oh, dang it. Well, whatever. The point is, he seemed like a cool dad.
But I'm also... Yeah. Oh, no. Qui-Gon is a very
he's
cool
a cool
character.
dad.
That is the movie that made me love Liam Neeson. But then, so to jump back, though, to Torque's point, I'm also going to assume then from your comment that you thought Last Jedi was the best of the sequels, because
Is that what I said?
No, Torque.
Oh, okay.
Because they're comment about Rian Johnson. Whereas I believe that also that The Last Jedi is the best of the sequel trilogy. Come at me. But
Hot takes.
you know, yeah.
Kirok says something that actually makes me kind of depressed. He says, in 1 hour, you guys will be at the 50% mark. Kirok, why would you say that?
We still got some time to go.
But J.E. Clapton says, for the kids. And that's exactly why we're here.
That's why we're here.
For another 12 hours.
Man. I think it is time in pretty much now, right?
Yeah, it's time for us to get ready to hand it over to our next
Roro.
incredible guest, Roro, who's been on our show, a bunch of times.
I love it.
I'm sure he probably hates that kind of stuff, but
I do
whatever.
want to give a quick update. We have gotten a couple donations in. Rise of Skywalker was so predictably dull. I agree, it was not the best. I need to watch again. I actually have only seen it the one time in the theater. There were still some... Man, we could just go off on a long time. So there were moments of it that I enjoyed, but there were a lot of it that I was kind of like...
Rise of Skywalker
that's
is the last one.
Yeah.
What's the one that he said Wait, what was the one that we said was the best one?
Last Jedi.
Is that the first or second one?
That's the second one.
Okay. I clearly don't remember much about them.
Oh, man.
But
We're just getting into Star Wars stuff here.
Yeah, God, we're going to have to call this quits.
Okay, here's a question. We got one real quick. Best one was Force Awakens. Okay, we got to get on Star Wars or we'll be here all day.
We have a question specifically adding me.
Yeah. Here's a question challenge for you. Would there be any amount of money that could be raised where you consider using your hair as a fundraising incentive?
You actually don't have to. I was already planning to give...
we talked about this
Yeah,
earlier.
I was already planning to get a haircut soon anyways. It is getting way too long. It's normally not this long. So I was going to get it chopped soon anyways, and I always donate all of my spare hair. So you don't actually have to raise more money for that. I was probably going to do it anyways.
All on its own.
Yeah, so don't worry about that.
So we do, before we hand things over to
It's
Roro.
hot too. Like, I'm hot. I'm sitting here and I'm like, it's hot.
Damn it, Kirok. You're starting a whole nother conversation.
Kirok,
He says, I'll stop the Star Wars stuff. Star Trek is the best. God. Okay. I was just going to say, I grew up also watching Star Trek. I'm going to leave it at this. I grew up watching Star Trek as well. I have an appreciation for Star Trek as well. It just never resonated with me near as much as Star Wars, but I still do like Star Trek.
I will not be going quite so far as to match Jarrett with the look, but it would be nice for the optics. Unfortunately, tragically, I can't really like grow any compensation though, so I would have to either draw it on with charcoal or like just start rubbing Rogaine on my face to hope that something grows in.
Oh, Dune. B Weaver says, Dune, mother flubber.
Wow.
I'm very excited.
Mother
I watched
flubber.
the original Dune movie and was lost, but I'm very excited for the new Dune movie.
We can probably talk.
We can talk about all this stuff for a while.
Yeah.
So I'm going to really quick though. We had a couple donations come in that I want to hit before we talk. Before we pass things over to Roro. So just want to make sure these came in. I believe it might have actually been to you.
Oh my gosh! No, it's not. That's
It wasn't. That was where you were at before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
Oh crap.
I think that's my correct amount.
Here we go. Let's read these real fast. Doop-a-doop-a-boo.
To the donations button.
Donations.
Why do they make it this hard?
I don't know. No, that was the last. Oh, we just got another one. Okay, Sleepy Snails gave us 15.
Thank you, Sleepy Snails.
Thank you.
Much love. Many hearts. All right, but we need to start getting things set up to pass it off to Roro.
We do indeed.
The novels. Never mind. Let's not talk about the Dune novels.
Let's jump into the
We'll be here
Halo
all
novels,
day.
the Star Wars novels. Let's go. No, but yes, so we're going to hand things over now to Roro. Do we know what Roro's playing?
He has a few ideas. So he might play Destiny 2, which I was watching him stream Destiny 2 the other day, and I was like, this game looks hard.
Destiny 2. Destiny is a loot shooter that I dropped off of.
Yeah,
but
he might
did enjoy my time.
He
in
might
it.
do Destiny. He might do more of Mario 35.
Oh, that'd be fun.
Or Animal Crossing. I'm personally like secretly
all three
hoping
of
for
those
Animal
options
Crossing.
are good.
Yeah.
What?
No, I mean we're ending it now.
We're ending it now. Yeah.
We're wrapping it up.
Okay. So
Don't judge us. We take a long time.
We had lots to discuss.
We had a lot to talk about.
So we are going to now hand it over to Roro. So give us a quick second while we get all that stuff set up. Mogan, please entertain the people while I get
will.
these
Well,
different things going.
I don't have to. We have dogs now.
Oh,
the
yeah, there
dogs
we go.
will do it all for
Pup
me.
cam!
Come on, pups.
But thank you, everyone, as we sign off. Again, a huge thank you to all as we
Thanks
jump
for
into
5
our
years.
sixth. Yeah, thank you for 5
Yeah.
years as we start our sixth. We are excited to be bringing back, like I said at the beginning of the show, bringing back Team Chit Chat and the new form of Soundtrack Spotlight in a weekly blog series. So we are very excited. We are very thankful for each and every one of you, and we can't wait to bring another year of great gaming discussion.
We live for the applause.
We
applause,
do.
Applause. We live for the applause. Pause. Live for the applause. Pause. Or in the case of the dogs, the applause. Pause.
The pause. But until next time, everyone, I am one of your hosts, Jerrett Wilson, joined to my right, physically once again, by Rachel Mogan.
Adios.
We will see you all next time.